What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Classic Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first Doctor William Hartnell story, The Chase. This is the third Dalek story of, ever in Doctor Who, the third of William Hartnell's, of course, as well. And yeah, it's an interesting one. It's one that I've always known as being, from what I've heard, it's a little bit strange, a little bit weird, and a lot of people don't like it because of that, because they think it makes the Daleks look a bit stupid, and altogether it's just a bit of a comedy episode, which it's not something you really see with a villain like the Daleks. So yeah, I was interested to see what this one would be like. I've never seen it before up until this point, so yeah, looking into The Chase, I was excited to see what was going to happen. Anyway, this is The Chase by Terry Nation. When the Doctor and his companions discover that a group of time-travelling Daleks have ordered to exterminate them, a dangerous chase across time and space follows. To escape the Daleks, the TARDIS must travel from the desert planet Iridius to the top of the Empire State Building on Earth, and from a mysterious sailing ship to a haunted house. But there is an even greater danger waiting for the time travellers when they reach the planet Mechanus. So yeah, an interesting little plot this. It's basically the Daleks are hunting down the Doctor because they've foiled his plans. One, in the Daleks, he just kind of came and screwed things over in the episode The Daleks, and then he obviously screwed them over when they tried to invade Earth. So they're trying to get revenge, and they want to kill the Doctor, and they're going to chase him across what ends up being 5 different, not necessarily 5 different planets, because we go to Earth a couple of times, but 5 different places and times in the end, 5 different places from start to end to try and kill him. So it's an interesting story, let's say that. Anyway, let's get started with the cast. William Hartnell as the first Doctor. Yeah, he's good. Not a whole lot to say about really any of the characters in this one, to be honest. William Hartnell has a few good moments. He has a few, serious moments, and a few funnier moments as well, I suppose. Although that doesn't really happen too much with the first Doctor, but, just general goofiness of the Doctor. And, just the way William Hartnell says stuff and things, it can be a little bit funny at times, even if it's not intended to be that way. But altogether, yeah, he's very, very good here. Same goes for Jacqueline Hill as Barbara Wright and William Russell as Ian Chesterton. Once again, there's no massive standout moments. I mean, Ian has a couple of good moments with the Doctor, when they're hailing down the Daleks, trying to distract them, and stuff like that. Yeah, he has plenty of fun moments like that, and so does Jacqueline Hill as Barbara. Plenty of good moments there, just nothing absolutely standout that I've really kind of got in the back of my mind to really talk about. And if anything like that does come up, I've put it down in my good list anyway, so you'll hear about that later on. Then, Maureen O'Brien as Vicky. Yep, same goes really. She's pretty good in this one. She has a moment where, kind of a whole episode really, where she's on her own. The Doctor, Ian and Barbara have accidentally flown off in the TARDIS without her. So she gets a bit to do there. That's kind of interesting seeing her on her own and what she does. And yeah, there is also another companion in this story who only really gets introduced in the final episode. That's Peter Purves as Stephen Taylor. This is his first story. He comes into it in episode 6, in part 6, and yeah, from here he's pretty good. I mean, this is only his first ever episode, and I don't think he was necessarily planned to be the next companion. I know he might have been, but I'm not 100% sure, because we don't see him, because I'm pretty sure they just find him in the TARDIS. The Doctor and Vicky find him in the TARDIS in the next episode, which I believe is the Time Meddler. So whether that was actually planned, I don't know. But yeah, Peter Purves, he's really, really good in this one for what he is. He actually plays 2 roles in this one. He of course plays Stephen Taylor at the end, but he also plays the character we see the Doctor and Co talking to in America on the Empire State Building. So yeah, he does a good job in both his roles. Well, I'll get to his other role actually, but with Stephen, he does a good job. Alright, so now onto the good and the bad. Starting off with the good. The machine that shows things that happened in the past. I believe the Doctor called it the visualizer. It's basically the first thing we see in part 1 is, well, I think after the Daleks. I think we might actually see the Daleks first. But we see the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Vicky in the TARDIS looking at this big, round, almost Stargate looking sort of machine thing. And it basically you think about something, you put some code into it or whatever, and it can show you a time. So they were like looking at Abraham Lincoln. They looked at a couple of other, I think there was one with the Queen or something like that. You can basically look at a thing in the past, and it has to be in the past. How that works when you're in the TARDIS in any time, I don't really know, but that's not really, said, really mentioned at all, but somehow it figures out what is counted as the past, and it can show you things from there. So it's basically a TV screen where you can decide what you want to watch from the past. I think that's an interesting concept. Doesn't really have much use in the story, and I will be honest, the scene does go on for quite a while. That is one thing I will say. It does go on for what feels like half of part 1, to be honest. Them just looking into the screen and seeing all these different things happening, which is interesting. It's cool. It's a nice little concept thing, but it doesn't really have any relevance to this story. So yeah, although I like it, it is a little bit kind of random. Ian and the Doctor taunting a Dalek. So when the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Vicky find out that the Daleks are trying to chase them down, they see the Daleks, and to get back to, they have to run back to the TARDIS. And to do this, Ian and the Doctor kind of start waving around and distracting a Dalek, because there's one Dalek guarding the TARDIS. Why there's only one guarding the TARDIS, I do not know. I mean, come on guys, you're menacing, you're the destructors of everything, the supreme beings, and you've just got one Dalek guarding the TARDIS. I can see what people mean by the Daleks are a bit stupid in this, but yeah, the Doctor and Ian kind of taunt the Dalek and make it, I think it ends up like driving into the cave with them, and ends up like blowing up. So that's a funny little scene, I think. All the different times and places the TARDIS lands, I do quite like, and it's one of the main things that got me interested in this story the most, is the scenery change in this story. I didn't really fully know what this story was about, but I knew it was the Daleks chasing the Doctor for some reason to all these different places, and there's all these different places they go, which I mean basically is pretty much the plot. But yeah, I liked the different scenery change. I do like it when Doctor Who, especially in the classic series, given the classic series on a very low budget, so having all the different scenery change is really nice, and yeah, I did very much like that in this one. The Daleks made a robot version of the Doctor. I thought this was interesting, the Daleks using a bit of their initiative, making a robot Doctor to distract the others, to confuse the others and think it's the real Doctor. That was interesting. I think the way they kind of, made him talk, they had, it wasn't actually the Doctor acting, it was some other guy who just looked like William Hartnell. It wasn't the Doctor acting, it wasn't William Hartnell acting, it was a guy that looked like him, but then they put William Hartnell's voice over him, and at times the lip syncing didn't really look very good, it looked very fake. But still, I think the idea of the Daleks making a robot Doctor is interesting. The Doctor and the robot Doctor fighting each other, I thought was really cool. Really awesome to see William Hartnell, the old man that he is, fighting. It's not something you see a whole lot of, although I have seen a couple of instances of it now. So yeah, really cool to see those two fighting each other. I thought that was interesting. Introduction to Stephen Taylor. Like I said, this is Stephen's first story, whether he was supposed to be a companion after this point or not, or if that was just kind of put in for the next part. His character, from what we see of him, is quite interesting, and I do like him off the bat, and I have seen a little bit of him in stories afterwards. I think I've actually only seen him in one other story so far, which is the Time Meddler. I don't think I've seen him in another one. But yeah, he seems good from here, and I know he's pretty good from what I've seen of him in the future. The mechanoids are an interesting design. I do quite like the mechanoids, actually. They're basically a ball, but it's got like, it's not a spherical ball, it's got like jagged edges, and I think they're actually a pretty cool looking thing. I think they were trying to go for, we could make these the enemies of the Daleks and have them return a lot and be a big part of Doctor Who, but I don't think that necessarily worked out, since I don't believe they were ever seen again. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I don't think they were. But yeah, I like the design of them. I think they're pretty cool. Their voices are a little bit different and interesting, so I quite like that as well. The battle between Daleks and Mechanoids, really awesome battle. Part 6 is definitely my favourite part of this whole story. It's just such an action-packed, amazing episode. I love Part 6 so much. It actually lifts my rating, which I'll tell you soon. It lifted my rating up a lot, because generally I found the rest of the story quite slow. But Part 6 was such an awesome part. I really enjoyed that last part. The battle between the Daleks and the Mechanoids was the main main thing from it. And then finally, from my good stuff, which I do actually have a lot of good stuff to talk about here, to be honest, is that Ian and Barbara are leaving the TARDIS and returning home. Finally, you know, the Doctor defeats, well, the Mechanoids defeat the Daleks, and the Doctor has the Daleks' time-traveling ship, which he apparently can control in a way so that he can get to a specific place. So Ian and Barbara are like, you know what, if you can teach us how to drive this spaceship, which is a bit weird. I mean, how he can teach two people from the 1960s, humans from the 1960s, how to fly a spaceship is a bit, don't really know. I always have this issue when random companions just know how to fly the TARDIS somehow. But anyway, he basically teaches them how to fly it, and they fly back to London, 1965. That very iconic line that Ian says. And yeah, this is the departure story for Ian and Barbara. So yeah, two great companions. I really love them so much. I've come to really love them over their stories, and I've still got stories of theirs to watch. But yeah, this is their final story, and I think they go out in a decent and somber enough way. Alright, so now on to the bad. There was a lot of good to talk about there, some little things that won't really affect things too much, but there is a little bit of bad to talk about as well though. First of all, the Iridians look really silly. The first planet they're on, they've got there's like them fish people. They look terrible. They're so obviously just humans in suits. I think the black and white in the 60s Doctor Who can sometimes disguise some of the crappy looking monsters, but in this case, no. The Iridians, I just laughed the first time I saw them, and honestly couldn't really stop laughing throughout seeing them throughout the whole 2 parts or whatever they were in. I think they just look absolutely stupid. The American guy is annoying. Now, I actually wrote this down not knowing that it was Peter Purves playing that character until I looked him up later, and I figured, oh, he plays the American guy. Really like him as Steven, but nah, the American guy was just annoying. His voice was annoying, his characterization was annoying. I just didn't like him. That whole American section was a bit kind of random, you know, didn't really do a whole lot. They just arrived in America and then left. So yeah, did not like that bit at all. The Daleks seem a bit stupid and weak. Yeah, the Daleks really do seem a little bit stupid. Like I said before, 1 Dalek guarding the TARDIS. Come on, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 guarding the TARDIS for sure. I don't exactly know how many Daleks there were, but there was definitely more than 2 or 3. So come on, have at least 2 Daleks at the TARDIS. When that one goes in, everybody, you know, they go on the pirate ship and all the pirates jump off the pirate ship because they're scared of what this thing is, and then the Dalek just decides to fly off the ship itself. Okay, yeah, the Daleks are a bit silly in this one. Just the fact that they're chasing the Doctor everywhere and not really getting anywhere, and they just seem a little bit silly. And then they end up not even dying to the Doctor, they just get in a battle with something else and just die from that. It's like, the Daleks really are a bit of a laughingstock in this one, I will be honest. The Daleks' voices also can be annoying. I generally find that the 60s Daleks don't sound great. They sound way too kind of spread out like this, and it really annoys me. And one of them was absolutely screaming the way it was talking. It was so high pitched and really annoying, that one Dalek. And then finally, far too much padding in the middle of the story. Part 1 is decent enough. I think that whole visualizer section was a bit long, but apart from that, part 1 was relatively good in pacing. But then parts 2 to like halfway through part 5, it really slows down. It's not until we actually get to Mechanus that things really pick up, and part 6 is amazing. I love part 6 so much. But yeah, the rest of the story definitely doesn't need to be 6 parts. Alright, so a rating for The Chase. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Throughout most of this story I was thinking, I'm probably just going to give this like a 6. It's not bad plot-wise or anything, it's just a bit boring, a bit slow. Just wasn't really a big fan of what they were doing with this whole story. But the final part has made me put it up to a 7, because that final part was honestly almost a 10 out of 10 part in my opinion. So yeah, altogether I'm giving The Chase a 7 out of 10. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.